So I've always been interested in archaeology, digging up things. Ever since I was a little kid, I used to dig around in what we called the dump and found all kinds of neat things. And I was at one time thinking of becoming an archaeologist. But there were so many choices that you had to make. I wanted to be a musician at one time, and of course I wanted to be an artist. So I came to a point in my life where being an archaeologist was probably a little bit too out of the question. I'd have to go away to school for that, and our family didn't really have the money for that. Being a musician, I tinker, and I still tinker around with music today. It's just a thing of enjoyment. I didn't see that there was any possibility of making a living at it, but I continued on with it. But then I got involved with art. With art, I started painting probably when I was in 4th grade. I went to Racing Gateway. It was called Racing Technical Institute at that time. And I was trying to get into some kind of design program. And at that time, fashion was really big, so I decided I was going to get into men's fashion. And then I saw how hard that was to get into, and I decided, no, I don't want to make a career out of that. Went to University of Wisconsin Parkside and studied art there. Was there for 3 years. So during that time, I got a job at an advertising agency, and I learned from the illustrators in the advertising agency how they do things and how they do their shortcuts, and using tracing paper and using a Lucy machine and using slide projectors, all opaque projectors, all these things that I didn't know that artists did, right? So I started messing around with that, and really started to enjoy artwork and doing art again. And so I guess what I'm looking at here is going back to my early days of wanting to be an archaeologist, and this is like a fossil of a turkey that maybe I dug up, right? It just was pressed into the ground, you know. This, I think I started working on this turkey around Thanksgiving about 3 years ago, I think it was. And I just get my artwork to a point that I get tired of it, right? And sometimes I even am so tired of it, I just burn it. I have a fire, you know, in the spring. I just gather up some of the paintings that I don't see any hope for, and I just burn them, and it makes me feel good to be able to burn something that I came up with in my mind, and maybe I was going through some hard times. So I look at my paintings and I can remember exactly where I was in my head. You know, there's one painting that I did, I think it was a Tucker automobile. I did that while my dad was in the hospital dying. And if you were to look at the painting close up, you would see all the X-Acto blade lines that I used to cut the Prisket out for the drawing. You know, you start off with the drawing, and then you start out cutting the Prisket, the area that you want to paint with an airbrush. You cut that all with an X-Acto knife, and then you spray that area, and then you put the tape and the masking paper on top of that again, and you sketch it out, and then you cut another one. Well, those lines were so deep because I was under so much stress with my dad dying, just thinking of him all the time, and knowing that he wasn't going to make it out of that hospital. You know, that when I look at that painting now, that really means a lot to me. You know, I don't think I could ever sell that painting in my lifetime because of that period of my life that I was going through. So getting back to this, you know, I'm working on other things too. I pulled out some pour paintings over here, I'll show you in a little bit, that I just kind of lost interest in. And a lot of the pour paintings that I had, as you can see in this clip, I burnt, you know, because I didn't see any hope in them. There was maybe some times that I was just thinking way outside the box, and I wasn't bringing things back together and seeing things as I saw in this one. So I just decided to burn them. You know, I could have reused the canvases, and now now that the things are a little bit tighter, I guess, as far as the money goes in my age, I'm going to start reusing the canvases, and these paintings back here are going to be reused, and I'm saving them. And I don't know if what I'm going to be painting them. They're probably some kind of a modern futuristic thing, probably. But so hey, that's where my thought process is, and that's what I've been doing. I got to get back to working on this turkey fossil. I was just looking at the back of one of these paintings, and I'm seeing that I painted this in 2017. And like I said, I put them away for a while, and now I look at them and I'm starting to see things. Boy, there's all kinds of stuff right in here that I never saw before. And I can see some really neat things happening right here. So, and what I'm using here is just a Prismacolor pencil, and I'm just sketching out some ideas with it. I'll go back in here with a paintbrush or an airbrush and bring things out. But this is so I'm getting an idea of what's going on here with this pencil, see? And it's basically, I'm just sketching over this embossed with thick, heavy paint on areas that I want to go over and paint and bring out. This is going to be a fun piece here, though. Boy, I can see so much stuff in here. All these lines running through, and already I can see that I started putting some kind of tentacles in here. I'll just start working on that more. I made some really small little acrylic brushes that I can get in there and start painting with that, so that'll be fun. Then of course I'm working on this painting over here, which is a lot more tighter. It's sort of an impressionistic painting, leaning towards realism, but more free. My realism paintings of the past are kind of like going away because my eyesight's going away and I can't really see the detail anymore as I'm painting. And if I get too close to it, I kind of ruin everything. So I'm just stepping back a little bit and kind of making an impressionistic view of things rather than a realism view. Come on, take a look at this one. See how the grass is going in here? It's just swirling around. It's like almost like musical notes. And that really just happened by accident. I really enjoyed that. And I have some pencil lines in here where I'm seeing the flow of the ground going down. There's a path coming from here, then it's going to disappear into this hill, and then it's going to come out again, and it's going to curve around, and then it's going to come over onto this side, and there'll be sort of a road here coming down. Well, not a road, but grass. There'll be grass that's pushed down like a tractor's going through here. There'll be the animals. There's little sheep up here. So this is what I'm doing, and of course the rust and everything in this, I'm just bringing it out more and more. This is the third or fourth time that I've done this painting. Third or fourth time. I get to a certain point and I lose it, and I just say, I'll forget it. And I'll start all over, or I'll just take some white paint and blast it with some white paint and start all over again. And, why not? What else is there to do, You just keep going and keep going until you get it right. I've got a couple of them upstairs that I've got glass on already, but I look at them and I think, oh, I could do that. I could do something different. And I said, I gotta learn to stop. I gotta learn to stop. That's what I'm working on. So that's what I'm doing in the studio today.